This is Crew Talk, the podcast of Bombers CrossFit, where we build healthy humans. We're talking strength, discipline, mindset, community, real training, real nutrition, real results. If you're ready to level up inside and outside the gym, you're in the right place. Hey guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of Crew Talk, the official podcast for Bombers CrossFit. As you can see from this cool swag that we have. Bombers CrossFit, where we build healthy humans. Today on this episode, we're talking about something that a lot of athletes face, and that's moving through fitness during the seasons of your life. And especially in this instance, through pregnancy and postpartum. So our guest today grew up playing volleyball, basketball, softball, always kind of the competitive team environment sort of sports. And eventually she found CrossFit to fill that gap when she was in college, and it quickly became kind of a part of her life. But then life comes along, challenges that the athlete has to face, pregnancy, and then a long road back afterwards. So in this episode, we're talking about finding your way, finding the balance between giving yourself some grace and still showing up ready to try your hardest. So let's get into it. Hannah, thanks for joining us on Crew Talk. If you could, just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background, where you grew up, that kind of thing.
I'm Hannah Crawford. I've been coming here since June of 23, I believe, coming up on 3 years.
Okay.
Grew up all over the South mostly. My parents were in the Army. My dad and stepmom were, and my mom lived in Illinois, so grew up all over the South. They were into CrossFit. I think I just talked to my dad about this last weekend, that he started it in 2009, maybe?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so they were...
Could you take your microphone and just kind of flip it a little bit forward,
like that?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
And so I think he was saying they started in 2009. I can remember in high school kind of like dabbling into it with them, but yeah, that's mostly how it kind of got into it.
So your dad started in 2009, and how old were you at that time?
I was probably so they started 2009. We were in San Antonio. When we moved to Louisiana in 2012, I believe it was. I was a freshman in high school, and that's the first time I can remember watching them do it and being kind of jealous. I was like, oh, I want to try that. Yeah. And so I would go on base. They had a free gym on base, and my friends and I would kind of go in and mess around. I never did it with my parents, but tried it a few times in high school, and we would kind of mess around, do our own CrossFit like workouts, and then by college I was like, I'm gonna pay for this and do it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So your dad was in the Army. What did he do in the Army? He
was a medic in the Army. My stepmom was, I don't know what she did before, but she ended up doing nurse anesthetist school, and she's now doing that. So that's what she retired as. Okay. Or maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I think, if I'm guessing. But yeah, they were both on the medical side, and that's what they did. I think that's how they met. Yeah. So
did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so we did. I was actually telling my life story to a couple people the other day. I have 4 siblings. We all kind of share different sets of parents. Sure. And so there's me, my sister, and my brother. We grew up with the same mom and dad, and they both have separated and remarried, and we have one younger brother on each side. So there's 5 of us total if you're talking to me or my sister or brother, and then the others have 3 or 4. But yeah, so kind of a big family, but spread out. Yeah.
So were you the youngest of the?
No, I'm the second oldest. Okay. So I have an older brother, and then everyone else is younger than me.
Okay. All right. And so you and all your siblings got along really well, or?
I would say we got along. We obviously didn't get along all the time, sure. But overall, yeah, we're all pretty, I wouldn't say super close, because none of us live in the same spot. But as we've gotten older, we've kind of gotten back to trying to be a little bit closer. My sister and I have gotten significantly closer again since not living together. She had a baby 2 or 3 months before me, and in the last year that's kind of like brought us back to talking a lot more often than we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that will definitely bring you together. You know?
Yeah, it was wild. It was not planned, but it happened, and we got to do it together. We were pregnant together, we had babies together, and now when we get together, it's a lot of fun just seeing obviously we know where our own sons are at, but when we're together, it's like, oh my gosh, there's such a small gap, but right now it's so significant, the difference between the two of them. Mm-hmm. But then they also share a lot of things alike, so it's really fun to see that.
Yeah. I've got 2 granddaughters that are about 6 months apart, you know, mm-hmm. and yeah, in the beginning it was like a really wide gap, but now those 2 are like they're like the best of friends, you know.
Yeah,
and
it's so fun.
They do everything together. So
my sister and I are I'm 28 and she's 26, and we're like almost, I think, exactly 2 years apart, and I think growing up, we definitely got into it the most, probably out of all the siblings, because we were so close. Mm-hmm. But obviously, the boys don't live right together. So I imagine one day we're going to be getting into seeing them kind of argue. And I mean, my nephew laid out Asher last weekend, just ran him over. And then he's obviously a little bit bigger, and so it's fun seeing them kind of get into that realm of it and not just get along, but overall they're pretty good so far. It's sweet seeing them hug each other, and they don't really obviously know each other yet, but
right.
Yeah.
Now where does she live?
So she lives down in Tennessee. My dad and stepmom are down there, and then one of my younger brothers, Noah, is also down there. He's, I think, he's maybe a junior in high school now. I forget, but he's 16. He's down there, and then my 2 other brothers are in Illinois in the same town my mom lives in. So
all right. So you're fairly close. Tennessee, that's not that far away, really.
Yeah, it's about, I think, 5.5 hours. I want to say.
Yeah. So so growing up in the Army, you moved around a lot. Did you go overseas any, or?
Actually, sorry.
That's all right.
You can cut that out. I was born in Alaska, mm-hmm. and then my dad and stepmom got stationed in Germany. I think I was in 1st grade, and I went over and got to experience that. I want to say for maybe 6 months or so. I have like very subtle memories of it, but it was so long ago that I don't really remember too much about it.
All right. So where was your favorite kind of base growing up then?
I loved Texas. So we were stationed they were at BAMC. It wasn't Lackland. It was I think it's called BAMC. That might be the medical.
The Fort Sam, maybe?
Yeah. Okay. They were there, and I think I moved there in 6th grade maybe, and then we left halfway through my freshman year of high school. I loved that. I think it was just like a really significant time of life, going from kind of being in middle school to the teenager side. So it felt like a very dramatic time in my life. But then we moved to what is it called? Leesville, Louisiana.
Fort Polk?
Yes, we went there, and it was horrible. It was horrible, but my best friend of my entire life moved there right before we did. So it was kind of like my dad, when he told us, he's like, I have really bad news, but also really good news. And I think she left maybe 6 months before us. Mm-hmm. And when he broke the news to us, I was devastated, but so excited because I got to go move and go to high school with my best friend. Yeah. And so that was really nice, but my least favorite place, definitely. Yeah. Throughout college, I found myself kind of always going back to San Antonio once or twice once I was able to drive and visiting people there. And then when I joined the Air Force, I actually went back to San Angelo, and then got to also kind of drive to San Antonio on the weekends and see other people that I had stayed in touch with from high school. Yep. Which is really nice, but.
So what led you to joining the Air Force then?
I went to college in Alabama, and I started in one degree and was like, this isn't for me, and went into a different one. I just made some poor decisions, my priorities were not completely straight, and so I felt like
what?
I just kind of
that doesn't sound right. Yeah.
I just kind of like one day I was like, I don't want to do what I'm doing right now. I also didn't want to not have a plan or a goal, and I think I was a little lost, and I just stumbled my way into, I think at the time maybe I had a boyfriend. I think he might have mentioned joining the Air Force of some sort, and I was like, maybe I'll look into that. And so
you might have had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
So this guy is obviously not the one you married.
Yes, yes. But I remember talking to my parents. Growing up, my dad was always in the Army for as long as I knew my dad, and so I was like, maybe I'll go. And I can remember going to a recruiter, and they were motivating me to like try the ASVAB, all that. And then my dad was very adamant on do not join the Army, and I don't know why, I've always thought in the back, like I don't project it, but I definitely in my head I'm like, I think I'm such a cool person that can do hard things, so I'm like, I want to be special forces. And then obviously that's not the route I went at all. My dad was like, I don't know really like why you think you want to do that, and also if something happens to you when you get out, you might not have the best opportunities by doing that career. And again, I definitely just a long shot, and so I took the ASVAB, and I think it had led me into kind of the intel side of things. The recruiter was like, you scored high enough, you should try this. I had no idea what it was. I literally zero understanding. And so when I talked to him about it, he was like, I think that the Air Force might be a good route, and the jobs that were being offered to me at the time were actually really good jobs, but at the time I didn't know that. So I just kind of went with it. And one day I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and then the next thing I knew, all of my friends were celebrating, like having a good time at the start of summer, and I was like, I'm gonna stop doing everything y'all are doing, and I'm gonna just focus on trying to be better, kind of. And then I'm leaving for the Air Force at some point, and everyone was so shocked. Like nobody expected it of me, but it happened, and I did it. And I would say I was still like having a lot of fun. I left for BMT in 2019, March of 2019. So went to BMT, and then I got stuck in Texas for a year and spent that whole first year at training, and then COVID hit. Yeah. And so it really slowed down what I was doing and how I was just outside all the time doing a ton of stuff. And I moved here the week of the shutdown starting.
Really? Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah. And then now I'm here, and I got out of the Air Force, but I still work on base in the same job. Yeah. And it's been a crazy but wild and good ride.
So are you a civilian now, or you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But you work still at NASIC, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And you love your work?
I like it. Yeah. I would say I can appreciate the work we do. I'm definitely not a fan of working in an office. So that's like an everyday battle, and it has its pros and cons, but I do enjoy the work, and I feel very, very grateful and lucky that I always say I just stumbled into this position. Yeah. It wasn't, I definitely have tried to understand and be better at the work through time, and I think it shows by being offered the position as a civilian. I don't feel like that comes very often. Right. But it definitely is a battle. Yes. A battle, some sacrifices, but it's good. It's good work.
And you met your husband in the Air Force, or?
Yeah, that's another funny story. Is we met. I had a friend at the time. She went on a date with someone, and I met him later that night, and then he became my boyfriend. So we had gone on, I thought we were going on a double date, and he brought his roommate, who was a girl, and we are still very close to this day. And I guess when we left, she kept telling Austin, my husband, you're on a date with the wrong girl. And so 2 weeks later, he reached out to me, and he had just met my friend that day, so it wasn't really all that bad. But 3 weeks later, he had reached out to me, and we hung out, and we spent every day together after that until I went on a TDY 2.5 years later. So it was kind of crazy, but yeah.
It's funny, my wife and I, we met on a double date, and she was the other guy's date. Yeah. And and then the entire time we ended up just talking.
Yeah. Well, and I can remember we were at the Cheesecake Factory. We all had to have a mask on. And it was just it was fun. Me and the other girl did not shut up. And my friend and Austin were talking a good amount, But when we left there, we had gone to a store, and I asked his roommate, do you have any other friends like him? And she was like, no. She's like, I've never met someone like him. And I was like, darn it. But she thought I was so cool. It worked out in my favor.
Yeah.
I'm like, had she not been there, nothing might have come from it. Because I was like, oh, I liked him and he liked me, but he's on a date with my friend.
So now, does he work on base too, or?
He used to. So he was a surgical tech, and he separated in August of 23, and he's been going to school. He actually graduates in 5 or 6 weeks from now. He's going to Wright State right now. So.
And what's he majoring in?
Electrical engineering.
Oh, okay, double E.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's great.
Flown by. It feels like forever, but it has flown by at the same time.
And then, of course, we've already mentioned you've got one son, right? And how old is he now?
14 months.
14 months.
Yeah.
That's a fun age.
Yeah.
Is he walking yet? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's walking and then running, and then it's like...
He wants to run.
Yeah.
He's not the best at it, but he's a wild dude. I always look at him like, you're just such a boy. Like, you want to get hurt. You want to get into everything. Obviously, I don't know what it's like to have a daughter, but I like to think I'm a little more cautious. The older I get, the more cautious I am. I used to be more of a daredevil, but he does things, and I'm like, don't react. Just let him do it. Let him learn.
Yeah. We had 3 boys, and they were daredevils. I mean, they just, jumping off things the minute they could climb on it, and
when I was pregnant, I told my husband I want to have a dirt bike baby. I told him, I was like, I know you'll love it. I was like, we can make him a little dirt bike when he's big enough, and he can just go be crazy on a dirt bike. And now I'm like, we're never buying a dirt bike.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, he's here now. He's too precious.
My youngest grandson, they got him one of those balance bikes, and so when he was 2 years old, he was going off ramps on that thing when he was just 2. And so he was riding a pedal bike, no training wheels by the time he was 3. And then he wanted a dirt bike. And so they got him like this electric dirt bike, And I mean, I would watch it and I was like, oh my God, because he's got no fear when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, and I like that. I'm like, I wish I didn't have fear anymore. So when I see it, I'm like, I don't want to teach him what fear is yet. I think at some point maybe, but right now I'm like, no, just do it. Because even this morning he fell, wiped out in the kitchen, and I didn't see it until after he was laid out on the ground, and I was like, I'm not going to say anything. And then I looked over and he was perfectly fine. But I know if I reacted, he would have started crying.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's tough. And then, then we had our first grandchild was a girl, and she was a girly girl from day one. I mean, it was just like she wasn't interested in playing with cars and stuff. She wanted to play with dolls and wear dresses, and it's just weird how that is.
I know.
So it's really interesting. So if you have another one, you have a girl.
I don't know what I'll do with the girl. Like, it's so different. Even my parents have said it before, like, because I thought I wanted a girl. Like, I thought I would be good at being a girl mom. Now I'm kind of in the mindset of maybe not. I'm not really, I don't even know the Disney princesses. I have a lot to learn if we ever have a girl. But my stepmom said she can't picture me with a girl. She's like, you were just, the things you like, the things you do, it's just more in like the boy realm. Obviously any girl can do it, but.
There's something about the relationship between a boy and his mom like that.
Oh yeah. I am excited for that.
That's the different, my I would say again, my youngest grandson, his mom, they had 2 girls, and she just wanted to be a girl mom. Yeah. And she wasn't really interested in having a boy, but as soon as she had him, she was just smitten with him, and he loves her so much.
I know. I have a lot of friends who, because I feel like because we didn't grow up in the same place, all my siblings and we didn't see it as much. But I have friends who love guy friends who love their mom so much. I'm like, that is so sweet. Yeah. So sweet. I am definitely more of a daddy's girl, and my mom is more of a mama's girl. And so even seeing how different the two of us are with our parents is kind of crazy. But I feel like right now, Asher, I would say favors his dad. Yeah. But he's also gets to spend a little bit more time with him. So I think that might be part of it. And I know it goes in phases, but I know one day Asher is going to be like, I love you, Mom.
Oh, yeah.
Dad's making me mad.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, so you talked, you did a little bit of CrossFit earlier on, but you played a lot of team sports when you were younger, right?
Yeah.
So what was, so you've liked that kind of competitive atmosphere?
Yeah, I feel like everything, I would say I'm more competitive with myself than with others. I definitely, like, even today, I didn't think I could do like what I just did. And Janelle was kind of like, I think you got it. And I was very thankful for that, because as I'm doing it, I'm like, wow, I got through more rounds than I thought. So then it's kind of challenging myself in my head throughout the workout of like, stop taking a break, do more, like you're capable of doing more, even if it doesn't look good. But I played a lot of sports growing up, and I was never, I don't think anyways, ever like a top athlete. But I enjoyed it. I feel like I was always good at kind of pushing others to go harder, do better, and I like getting that from others as well.
Yeah. It takes a special attitude, I think, to really be good at team sports, especially if you're not like. I never considered myself like a good athlete, you know. So if you find a team that you can feel comfortable with, you know, that says something about you, you know.
Yeah, it's something I missed. I would say in high school, when I moved to Louisiana, the sports were so different from Texas. In Texas, it was definitely hardcore. The coaches, I mean, I feel like our coaches treated us like we were top tier celebrity athletes. Like we did not need to get punished because we had a flaw. Louisiana, it was kind of like, it felt like a joke almost. You show up to practice, and like me and my friend felt like we were coaching the coach, and it was just not the greatest. I mean, we were in a tiny town. But going into college, I didn't do any intramurals or anything like that, and I think I had found that I was like missing that part of my life. And so when I started doing CrossFit there, it was a smaller gym. I want to say he might have just opened it, but smaller gym. And I can remember going into the class and being intimidated. Everyone had been doing it for so long, and I'd never done it by myself.
Right.
And so I went in there, and then I kind of became, over time, like slowly became friends with some of them, got to know them a little bit better. But it was a lot different than it is here too, because I would be in a class by myself.
Really?
And so sometimes I'd go, I think I went to the classes around noon. There was a class sometime around noon.
Yeah.
And nobody, I mean, maybe one or two other people, but sometimes it was just me. And so that was always wild. And I mean, I would get screamed at, and it reminded me of high school and middle school in Texas, where I'm like, wow, this coach thinks I'm so serious and is really pushing me, screaming at me. Really, I threw up so many times after workouts there. I wouldn't say it was redlining, because I don't think I'm a redline athlete, but enough to where I would be throwing up, and it was also just so hot, and summertime there is horrible. And so I started doing it there, and I mean, didn't feel as much of a team perspective as it does here. I feel like here, definitely come in here and it feels like a team and like a family and stuff like that. And so I feel like Bombers kind of fills that void a little bit more than it did in college, but the competitive side is across everywhere.
I think when I started CrossFit, there were always bigger classes. So I mean, it was at the base, and most of the classes there were at least 25 or 30 people in every class, and I liked that, you know, because it was like big, and it was kind of like a little crazy and chaotic, you know. I don't know if I could have thrived if I was the only one in the class.
No, sometimes it's good, and then sometimes I want it to be such a big class that nobody can pay attention to me.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes creep off a little bit in the corner, you know. I'm
maybe
good.
Today's the day that I don't need to be pushed to go harder. Showing up was enough.
Yeah. So you did CrossFit in Alabama, then you joined the Air Force. So you just did regular Air Force fitness then?
We did. When we got to tech school, it was, because it's all we had to wait for top secret clearances to come through. I don't remember why I waited for so long, but from March until I think November or December, I was just waiting. And I got very lucky. I got my everyday role was to be in charge of a snacko. And so I sat in a room and just watched over all the snacks.
Really?
Yeah. And that's what I did. And I mean, I got to do it because my parents had a Sam's Club membership and nobody else did. And so I would be the one to go on a snacko run and use their membership to buy all the snacks. My dad loved it because he was like, we get the points or whatever.
Yeah.
But during that, we were given the option to PT before our shift or after our shift. I think they called it details maybe, and everyone had their own thing to do throughout the base. But yeah, I got very lucky by doing that because it was very relaxed. And then I don't know how I did it, but I was able to PT in the morning and in the afternoon and consider it a part of my 8 hours. And so in the mornings we would do PT, or whenever PT was as a squadron, we would do that. And then I had a group of, I think, about 4 or 5 friends that I don't know how we started doing it, but we all would go to the gym together and we would do, it's so crazy, we would do the echo bike.
Yeah.
Like a 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off or whatever.
Okay.
The echo bike every day almost. We always were doing, I mean, nobody really participated in this part, but the guys would go out and do a football field workout and I would just do 100 burpees as fast as I could.
Really?
I always wanted to get under 10 minutes. I don't remember if I ever did or not, but that was always my goal, is just do burpees as fast as I could, 100 of them. And then we would all do some type of like CrossFit like workout. It was always a lot of power cleans, burpees, box jumps, stuff like that, as much as we could, because they had a small room at Goodfellow of like a CrossFit, they call it the CrossFit room, and it was more free weights, stuff like that, and CrossFit like equipment, and versus the big gym. And yeah, I can just remember having that small group of friends, and we would go in there, we'd work out together, and then we'd go out to dinner or do whatever we wanted together as a group. And
so were any of your friends like experienced with CrossFit, or you
I don't
guys
think
just
so,
like
no.
you just kind of figure things out, Google it?
I think I had a deck of cards. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a little tin case, and inside of it each card had a wad on it. It would be all different kinds of things, and I would just be like, okay, I'm not going to tell them, but I'm just going to pick from this and try to motivate to do this workout for the day.
You know, that's, being honest, that's how CrossFit started, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, before the boxes really began to stand up, it was just people kind of doing it in their garages and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love that aspect of it, you know?
Yeah. I like it a lot. I just did a 6-week, my best friend had gifted me like a 6-week challenge with the coach she'd been working with. And I did that. I added that in January and February into doing CrossFit as well. And it was more traditional based lifting. Like I would go to Planet Fitness, or I'd do it in the back of here if I could. And just doing like cable pulls and, you know, more isolated type of workouts. And I noticed a huge difference in how I felt and the strength I had on top of doing CrossFit. But I was just so bored. And every time I go back to like that type of working out, I'm like, it's just not the same. I think adding it in occasionally is very good for me, but overall, I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of this other than a lift.
You know, it's kind of like, I mean, you can bias your training towards strength, and you'll get stronger. I mean, you just will. You know, I mean, that's CrossFit is going to get you generally across the board, but if you want to peak at certain things, you know, running the same way. But I agree with you. It does get boring. Yeah,
I think if you're lucky enough to have people that will do it with you, then it makes it a lot better. I have a hard time motivating the people in my life to do that with me, but I try all the time, and everyone shuts it down. So I'm like, I'll just go to CrossFit.
Now I get together once a week with my son and my grandson, and we, for a while we were benching, but now we're doing deadlifts and back squats, okay? Because Jack wants to get stronger in his legs, and so that's fun, you know. But again, it's because I'm with them. That's why, you know. Yeah,
I know. That's one thing I like about doing this, and it just so happens that my parents do it as well. So anytime I go home, I'm like, can we work out? Can I come to your gym?
Yeah.
And I love that part of it too, where I'm like, we have our own thing, and we don't talk about it throughout the week. We're not like, oh, guess what I did today, unless it's like I want to brag about something. Yeah. But being able to get with them and share that, I love that.
So your parents still do CrossFit?
Yeah, my stepmom actually. So my dad, I think he's gotten back. He might not have done it as much in the last couple of years, but he's back to doing it, I think, regularly. I don't really know how often, but my stepmom she's also, I think she's always been a 5 a.m.er, maybe. Yeah. And she just started in the last year, I want to say. I don't know if she has her L1 and her L2 or what, but she is coaching now. So she's coaching at their gym, and I got to see her coach for the first time this last weekend. It was a Saturday, so you know how Saturdays are, but yeah. I got to see her coach and kind of run it, and I was like, this is so natural. I was watching, I was like, it doesn't feel like you're out of place, and it was really nice to see her be able to do that. I think she is good at it, but I think if she sticks to it, it'll be really good for her. I'm like, that's a perfect retirement job.
Yeah, it is. I can attest, it is. It's the perfect retirement job. Yeah. So you finished your training. Was it all at Goodfellow or? Yeah.
It was all at Goodfellow. It was cut maybe a week short. Like they crammed it when the shutdown was happening. But I spent the 9 or 10 months there, and then did 3 months. I want to say it was 12 weeks of training, and then came here. And obviously because of COVID, I don't know what it would have been like regularly, but we had a training program here that we had done just once we were actually in the flight. Yeah. And so there's more of on-the-job training. But other than that, it was just those 3 weeks. I didn't have to go anywhere else to add on to it.
And so you got here during the shutdown. We were shut down. I mean, I think 2020 for like March, April, and May or something like that. We were actually, they had everything closed. And so. Yeah,
I can remember getting here, and I'm a pretty nonchalant person. And I wanted to go get some groceries. And I went to the store, and everyone was wearing a mask. And I didn't even own one yet. Yeah. And I can remember thinking, people are looking at me crazy, but is it really that big of a deal? And then within like 2 more weeks, you couldn't go anywhere without one. And we weren't going to work. We got here. It was the weirdest time of my life. I mean, I was very lucky. People always say my first 2 years in the Air Force were so easy because I spent a year waiting, pretty much waiting for my clearance to go through. So I was pretty much just working out and running a Snacko. And then the second year, it was the same thing. I was just, up until August of 2020, I think, I was just hanging out outside. We had to do some Zoom call-ins and some trainings like that. But honestly, I mean, you can't really control what people are doing when everything's TS and you can't work outside of work.
That's right. Yeah, you can't telework.
Yeah, so I can remember during the summer, there was a lot of partying for sure. Just people getting to know each other. There's nothing else to do. But other than that, it was so much hiking, and I didn't know how many parks were in the local area when I found out I was supposed to go to Lackland.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my orders were to Lackland, and I was so excited. But then, and we got our orders like pretty last minute, but then when the shutdown happened, everyone's orders got switched around.
Really?
And so I want to say it was like a couple days before I was leaving Goodfellow, my order switched to Right Pat. And I was devastated. I knew nothing about Ohio other than it was close to Illinois. And so I was devastated, and because I thought I was going to move somewhere where I knew people, and now it was just a big change last minute, and we ended up coming here, and I was trying to research it within days of leading up of like, what is there to do? And I remember driving into Dayton, and I was like, oh, wow. Or no, it was into Cincinnati. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to like live in a city.
Yeah.
And then we got further away from Cincinnati, and I was like, oh, not so much of a city, but it still felt like a city. And it wasn't a small town. And when I looked it up, I thought it was more of a small town. And so I got here, and then I got to spend 6 months exploring pretty much. Other than some check-ins and a couple of like PT, because it was outside, we could check in for PT. Other than that, I had so much free time. So I'm like, all I did was go hiking, go camping, work out outside on base. It was a good time.
There's a lot of good hiking and stuff like that around here. And a lot of good parks.
And my husband is super into disc golfing, and we were looking, and there's hundreds of disc golfing parks around here. And when we go visit other places, it's so limited.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it actually has, Ohio has a lot to offer. We don't have mountains. We can't go ski and snowboard and stuff like that. But I feel like other than that, we can do just about anything we want outside.
Somebody told me there is some place nearby that you can go skiing, or
there is,
like an
but it's
place
it's not horrible. I didn't learn how to ski until I met my husband, but so that first year of learning, it wasn't that boring. But now that I know how, I think having Asher will make it more fun to go there to try to teach him if we want to. But it's just very short. You spend 5 minutes riding up and 20 seconds riding down, just over and over again.
So how did you find Bombers then?
I want to say, Alyssa. So I had gone to see, I was in the military still, and I'd gone to Mobility Fit for some, what we thought at the time was carpal tunnel, but just some nerve things. And I had seen she was my
OT.
My OT, for a few months. And I can remember her talking, because we were just going over background and stuff like that. And she had mentioned that she does CrossFit in Beaver Creek. And I was like, oh, that's close to where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And so she had mentioned it. And I want to say that was in the fall, right before I got out, maybe of 2022. And so then in 2023, when I got out, that's one thing I told my husband. As soon as I get out of the Air Force and I'm making a little bit more money, I'm going to pay for CrossFit. And so by the time I finished, I was doing 75 hard. When I separated from the Air Force, I had some terminal leave. Mm-hmm. And I had just gotten my tonsils out. So I had gotten over that surgery. And I started a 75 hard challenge with my two best friends to do before Memorial Day.
What's a 75 hard check?
It's 75 days of, I think there's 7 things you have to do. You read 10 pages of a book, you work out, or you drink a gallon of water, you follow a diet of whatever you choose, with no cheat days for those 75 days. You have to work out twice a day for 45 minutes each minimum, and at least one of those has to be outside. Yeah, and then I can't remember the other pieces too. You're supposed to take a picture every day. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a selfie or like a progress photo or what. A lot of people on social media will do like a progress photo to see their bodies change over the 75 days. But I think that was it. And then you do that for 75 days. And if you have a mess up, if you want to do it how you're supposed to do it, you start over or you quit. Whatever you choose. So I did that, and it was leading up to every year we go to the beach for a week for Memorial Day. Mm-hmm. And my two friends that were doing it with me were coming to the beach. So we were like, we'll finish it together doing Murph, like our own mix of Murph. And then we'll have like a hot girl summer. And so we did that. And in my head, I was like, this is perfect. I'm going to get back from vacation and then I can start Bombers. I didn't want to start it when I already had this challenge going on in March. And so the timing was perfect. And then I came back from Memorial Day, and I think that was like the first week I had come in here. Yeah.
And so what did you think first off coming in?
I can't remember what I thought other than I just loved it.
Yeah.
I remember I came in, I can't remember what we did first. I did come in, and for the first year and some change, I came in at 3:30 every day almost, and Patrick was always the coach. And I think one of the big highlights was Patrick reminded me a lot of like the coaches that are like ingrained in my brain from middle school and high school that I liked a lot. Like any coach, like there's like a handful. I think there's like 4 coaches who are like, if I'm ever on a run, I'll just hear them.
Yeah, okay.
And like that's where my brain will go to motivate me to just like get over myself and try harder. And I can remember having him for one of my first couple classes, and I was like, wow, he is really good at pushing me, and I don't even know him.
Yeah.
And so it kind of kept me coming, and then over time it was just the people that came at 3:30 every day, and I was like, wow, I love this. I'm never quitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. You get into a certain class and it's like with the people and stuff, and it's just, I don't know, there's just something about
I
that.
know sometimes I have the thought of like, who comes at 6 a.m.? People talk about how I came to one, it was either 5 or 6 a.m. class, and this is like a long time ago. I came to one and I was like, I could never come back. These people don't talk and they're so intense. But it's also so early in the morning. But it did seem like a group of people that were just way more fit. I would say we're all fit in our own ways, but it seems so different from like people at the 3:30 class. Sometimes you come in, you just ignore what's happening, you have fun,
and now see,
and then you do a really good workout.
it's changed. It's changed. I remember 6 a.m. for a while was a smaller class, and it was a really quiet and really focused class. Now it's like you come to 5 a.m. and they're like all business, quiet, nobody talking, just getting right to work. 6 a.m. is the chattiest class of the day, right? Right now it is. Yeah, it's by far the chattiest class.
It. I think if in a perfect world, I would come to the 7:30 class every day.
7:30 is also pretty chatty.
Yeah. On the week, or not the weekends, but sometimes if I like to not work on Fridays. So if I'm able to not work on a Friday, I like coming to the 7:30 class, and that group of people I enjoy being around a lot too. But sometimes I'm like, wow, I wish I knew who was at all the other classes. I can't go to every class every day.
Yeah.
So
I like to get around to, I haven't been able to get it to as many evening classes lately, and I kind of miss that,
Yeah.
So yeah, because they're all different. They all have different personality, Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So you said something about your motto this year being to try hard.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I feel like when you hear try hard, sometimes it has like a negative, some people look at it negatively, but for me, I'm more, I think I was talking to my sister, maybe in February, I don't remember, and we were just kind of complaining back and forth, and that's like another thing that my best friend and I are like, we want to complain less, but we were complaining, my sister and I can remember being like, you just need to be a try hard, like just try harder. I was like, we can complain all we want, and we can continue to complain, I'm fine with that, and I was like, but I think we just need to try a little harder. So I think like, especially during that challenge I was doing, I didn't want to work out and do the challenge and then also do CrossFit. I just wanted to do CrossFit, but I wanted to do the challenge. So I was like, I just need to get over it, sacrifice a little bit, like 30-45 minutes more of my time, just try harder. And I'm like, at the end of the day, you can do less and still complain, or you can just try harder, get over it, and then you'll feel better.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, you will do it. You can make time for it, but that's really it. And even just like, I'm not the best at waking up on time. And sometimes I'm like, wow, I could just shut up and try harder to wake up earlier.
Yeah, that's, it's something you just got to do, right? You know? And I think you're right, though. Sometimes when people say try hard, it's, I'm just going to go in, I'm just going to try my best or try hard. It does have kind of a negative connotation, but really it shouldn't,
Right.
Because what you're talking about is, what I've got in the tank today, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at least when I was a little bit younger, I would always hear, oh, he's such a try hard, or she's such a try hard. And then now I'm like, well, why wouldn't you want to be? Why do you think that's a bad thing?
Yeah.
And then also, to me, it's more of impressing myself than impressing others. If I impress somebody else or I motivate somebody else, I think that is a beneficial thing, a positive thing. But at the end of the day, I want to be proud of myself more so than, it's nice to be proud of somebody else and have someone be proud of you, but I would mostly rather be proud of myself and be a better version of myself just for myself, but also all the people around me.
Because in the end of it, if you went in and if you did everything you could and you tried and you put your best effort forward. You know that. And if you do, and conversely, if you didn't, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and you can't hide from that. I mean, you could post the greatest score, you could be at the top of the leaderboard, but if you know you didn't really try as hard as you could, I mean, that's not a victory, right?
Yeah.
So,
even on Saturdays, sometimes it's like, well, this is just a show up and hang out and work out. I mean, there's a lot of us that say that it's a Saturday, but then sometimes once we start working out, I'm like, okay, let me just like kind of push the pace. But then you can like feel, nobody's talking about it, but you can feel whoever you're partnered with be like, okay, I'll try to keep up. And it's just a back and forth. And then you're trying a little bit harder, even though it's just a Saturday.
yeah, that's right. I a lot of times say I'm going to come in, I'm just going to take it easy today, but I never do. As soon as it starts, I'm going as hard as I can. So
I earlier this week I had the realization that I hadn't done box jumps since I've been coming here. I don't think anyways.
Really?
I'm like, maybe when I first started I did, but I just always was like, I'm just gonna step up. I think before I had Asher, it was more of like the fear of, I haven't done a box jump in so long. Then after having Asher, it was like, I'm not physically prepared to do a box jump. But this last week, Janelle and I were talking, and Amanda, and obviously Amanda was like, I'm not going to do a jump or a box jump right now. But Janelle started saying she saw a video, and it was like, a step up is nothing like a box jump. And I was, in my head, I was like, okay, I just gotta try to do it. If I fall, I fall. But I did it, and then I ended up doing the whole workout with box jumps, and I didn't fall once, and I just had to get over that little mental hurdle and do one to realize I could still do them. And then I couldn't believe it. And even I think I don't know if it was Trent or Ryan, I told somebody though, and they were like, you've never done a box jump? I was like, nobody was pushing me to do it. I think I had done like a shorter box at one point.
Right.
But I definitely was just blowing it off, and I was like, even today with the double unders, I was like, I might be able to do them. I might have a hiccup, but I could also just do singles. And I think because Janelle was like, just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it.
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And it benefited me, but I definitely had in my head, I was like, okay, this is the year I said I'm going to just give it up and try everything and stop blowing things off. And I did it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think, I think sometimes it's too, I got to commit to it, I mean, mentally, I've just got to decide that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it, and so it might be, box jumps, because, I mean, they are harder. I mean, it just are. They're a little bit scarier, obviously, but they're definitely harder. And so
but you feel, because you feel it so much more when you do them versus a step up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's good to just say, no, I'm going to commit and I'm going to do this, That's why a lot of times I like to, if I see athletes with they set their barbell up and then they have plates setting off to the side, and I'm like, put those away, okay? Mm-hmm. Because it's just temptation, all right? If you can do that weight now, okay, then you can do it throughout the workout,
right?
All right? You don't need to strip weight back off, all right?
Yeah.
You just need to stick with it. Even if that means that you're going to slow down, well, then so be it, okay?
Yeah.
But just commit to that weight.
Yeah. I think that's what my goal lately has been, is just stop. If I plan to do less, even if it's a scaled version, but on the lower end, if I plan for it, then I end up being more content doing it versus pushing myself. But that's my goal this year, is just try a little harder.
Yeah. I think that's great,
Yeah.
And I mean, pushing yourself is what it's all about,
Yeah.
And you said earlier when you were thinking about special forces that you like to face tough things,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like to feel like I'm near death.
Yeah.
And the CrossFit version of that, I like to be like, okay, I think it was maybe Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember. There were a group of people just hanging out. And I was like, I'm not hanging out. I'm waiting to be in the shape I can be in to drive home. I'm like, I think y'all are cool and I'm here hanging out, but I'm really here because I think I'm going to die. I need to catch my breath for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's when you know you've had a good workout, when you can't get out to the car. You're like, I need to sit down for a little while.
Yeah, I hate when I do a workout and then it ends and in my head, I'm like, I could do it again. And like that just reminds me like, okay, maybe I could have tried to do something and push myself a little bit harder. And so that's really what I try to avoid. Sometimes in like this last year being postpartum, I physically couldn't push. I mean, it's hard, but my body is obviously not in the same shape it was in. And so that would get really frustrating when I'm like, okay, I feel like I should be doing more, but I know I need to also like know when to take a step back. And so getting back into more of like the hardcore part of it it's harder now, but it's still good. I think it's beneficial to kind of push a little bit harder. I think in the beginning, definitely taking a step back, but I gotta get out of the mindset of it's too soon and stuff. So like the box jumps and doing double unders, I'm like, I'm at a point now, I've spent 4 months doing pelvic floor therapy, and I'm like, I know I've built up strength, so I just need to get over it and start practicing the harder things and stuff like that.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So what was it, did you work out all the way up through your pregnancy?
I did. Definitely not like other people here do. I didn't have the best pregnancy. I definitely was more on like the sick side of things. I just didn't feel great. I think a big part of that was that I work in an office, so I sat so much. And at the time, we didn't have the option to raise our desk. Now I do. But yeah, I think just sitting a lot, and I would still come in when I could. But there were some points where some people would reach out and be like, are you not coming anymore? And I'm like, oh, it's been a bad couple of weeks. Yeah. And so I tried what I think if I ever do have another kid, I'm going to know what to expect and be able to I'm hoping I'm setting myself up to push myself a little bit harder through pregnancy. But I definitely was still around, but not very consistent. Yeah.
And then after your son was born, how did you approach it coming back?
I think my memory is so bad, but so I had him in January. I think I came back in during the open. Okay. And I came back in during the throwdowns for sure. And I think shortly after that, I started kind of trickling back in. By May, I think I was getting pretty consistent again, I think. I did a lot of traveling last year, and then also was working with a coach for like macros and stuff like that. Yep. And so I can't remember how often, but I would say by April, May, like that 3 to 4 month mark, I was starting to show up more. And I would say by like last fall, I was a lot more consistent.
Yeah. And how was it like a rude awakening when you came back to say, man, my body has changed?
Yeah, I think so. When I was pregnant, I definitely didn't feel good, and I felt like I was still trying. I can remember, like, I think it might have been you, like I was still using barbells at one point, and you were like, I think it's time maybe we go to dumbbells, because you could see the bar moving around my belly. So like I was definitely in here for that. But when I came back, it was almost kind of sad. Like everyone around me was like, but you just had a baby, like don't feel bad. I'm like, I physically can't do these things that I could do 4 months ago. Right. And so I think that was there's other women who have had babies, and like we've seen them come and go during pregnancy and after, and so that is super motivating to see others who, I mean, there's like 4 girls that I'm like, you guys are animals. Like Amanda, I'm like, you're amazing. Like you've had 2 babies and I've had 1 and you're just destroying me in these workouts. So seeing people like her, it's very motivating and reminds me, even if, and like we both have our own problems and like stuff like that. And so I'm like, my pelvic floor problems are my pelvic floor problems. I just need to work on it outside of here, and then just remind myself that it's not perfect right now, and do like double unders. I'm like, it's been 14 months and I'm doing them now. Yeah. So I just have to remind myself to like take certain things slow, or at least acknowledge things so I can work on it. But
because there's kind of a disconnect, right? Because mentally you think, I used to do this.
Yeah.
I had no problem doing this.
Yeah.
What, and it's been 14 months. Why can't I do this now?
Yeah. It's challenging, and it's more challenging when you see others who don't have any type of struggle, or like they probably do struggle, but like to see someone else like do a pull-up. And it's up, I think it was, who was in here last week? I'm blanking on her name, but she just had a baby 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, and she was doing double unders, and I was like, how are you doing that? I was like, what in the world are you doing? And I looked at her, I was like, I'm so jealous. I'm like, I'm 14 months, you're 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But then I just have to not compare myself really. And then we're all in different places. But it was, in the last summer, it was hard. Like I wanted to come here because I look at Bombers kind of as like a mental health thing too. And I wanted to be here, but then I would leave like almost kind of upset because I'm like, wow, today kind of sucked because I couldn't do this. But then on the positive side, I showed up, I worked out. I did something hard that a lot of people won't even attempt to do.
Absolutely.
And so once I get out of that negative part and into the positive, I'm like, okay, it's worth it. It'll pass.
Yeah. So, it's like giving yourself some grace, right?
Yeah.
Because, the reality is you've been through a lot. You are doing more than 5 times more than the average person, in your category normally would be. But yeah, it is tough.
Yeah.
So I was, I had this conversation with Dean, because Dean, he made quarterfinals, right? And so, which is amazing, okay? And so now he's in the quarterfinal workouts, and these are the hard workouts, okay?
Yeah.
This is taking it up a next level, and he's like, was thinking, he didn't do as well in the quarterfinal workout as he wanted to do, and I was like, dude, but you made quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's a hell of a big achievement.
Yeah.
So it's like you're coming back in and you're doing this kind of a workout. After pregnancy.
Yeah. Any workout. Honestly, I'm like, I already know that's more than the average.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah.
But it's hard sometimes when you get stuck in your head that, well, I used to be able to do that and now I can't.
Yeah.
And so what's wrong with me?
Yeah,
but there's nothing wrong with you.
The Hannah that did CrossFit in Tuscaloosa is not the Hannah that does CrossFit here. And I was really good at things then that I'm not good at now, but now I'm also good at things that I wasn't good at then. So I'm like, it all balances out.
Yeah. And then some days you're going to find that, maybe you do a workout and you're just a little bit off what you've done at your best. And you think, maybe I'm getting back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know when we did our last, it's been a while, but when we did our last heavy squat day, I always give credit to the people around me more than myself, because like that day, I think it was Gabby and I were partnered up. And I told her, I was like, I would not have done what we did today if it wasn't for you. But when we did it, I was like, wow, I think I just lifted more than I was before I had the baby. And I didn't think I had it in me yet.
Yeah.
So that was very reassuring and a good day. But yeah.
Yeah, when those things come along, that's the stuff you really got to celebrate. You know? They were making fun of Kayla this morning because she wouldn't ring the bell very hard, and it's like, when you get a chance to ring that bell, you need to ring it, really ring that thing, because sometimes those really matter,
Yeah, I think people are always proud of themselves, but then like showing it off is a lot harder than, because I'm like that. I don't know if I've ever rang the bell, and anytime someone's told me to, I'm like, nope. I'm like, that's all that matters.
Well, but you need to ring the bell.
I know.
Let people celebrate you every so often.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not really about you, but the example that you're setting to somebody else.
Yeah.
And maybe you're pushing that person to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because we know that matters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel. That's what I tell myself every time I go for a run. I'm like, okay, whoever's watching me in their car right now, maybe they'll go on a run later. And like, that's how I motivate myself.
Yeah. You know, I try to, I like some of the people I know my age, you know, and they're always, and like a lot of them are really fit people, you know, but they're like, oh, I could never do CrossFit. That's too stupid. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you could come in here and crush this. You just won't do it. You just need to accept that you could, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely, I feel like if you don't do CrossFit, you have such strong opinions on it. And like at work, every time the Bring a Friend week comes up, I always mention it at work. Mm-hmm. Hey, just so you guys know, if you want to come in, you could try it for free. If you don't like it, just don't come back. Like, maybe you do like it. Maybe you want to keep doing it. And now my team lead's always like, oh, Hannah's going back to CrossFit. Good old CrossFit. I'm like, no, it's actually a really good place. I'm like, you can come try it out.
Oh, you're part of the cult, you know?
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who's getting ready to return postpartum? You know, what's your advice? How should they approach it? You know, what do you think maybe you should have done differently, or do you think you should have done something differently?
I think just being nice to yourself, but also be consistent. Like, just because you can't do things the way you could before, remind yourself that with time you'll be able to. I mean, everything takes just a little bit more time, and then just keep trying harder. I think it's like postpartum is, I mean, so many people know and understand it's a lot, and if you can sacrifice the 1 hour for yourself, I think doing it in a place like this, really any CrossFit setting, is way different than going and doing it on your own. It's way easier to kind of like beat yourself up when you're by yourself. Being able to come here and be motivated by those around you, but also I think any woman that comes in postpartum is motivating the people that don't experience that even more, because you're doing something that's just a little bit harder. So I think really just show up as much as you can for yourself, but also for others. I mean, that's what we do when we go home. We're just trying to show up for our families. Yep. I think it would make it, I think for me, it makes me just that much better when I get to go do something for myself. And yeah, just be nice, because it is hard. So, but the more you show up, the easier it'll get.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So. I used to, if I get into like a rut, I'll sign in for a class, because the last thing I want is for it to say canceled for the whole class to see. So all I do is sign in, and then I don't have the option, because I already know that I have the time. I already know I have the plans, and everything is kind of centered around at 3:30, I'm going to be here. Asher's at daycare, husband's doing whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like at 4:30, I'll be free again. And really, unless something important comes up, I have no excuse. Yeah. And if I see the workout the next day and I don't like it, the sacrifice is that everyone will see that I canceled. And be like, oh, Hannah's not here.
I love it. I love it. You got to commit, you know? Jump in. Yeah. Well, Hannah, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
And give yourself some grace.
Yeah. Thank you. It was good.
That's it for this episode of Crew Talk. If you got value, share it with your crew. Want to train with us? Head over to bomberscrossfit.com and come see what we're building. Stronger every day, better every rep. We'll see you in the gym.